Hi there, good noon and welcome to BYJU'S exam prep channel dedicated to the success of a CAT aspirant, that is you. And you remember the day when we started this series, CAT will find these sessions immensely useful. So even if you're late to the party, if you're just about starting out and you're thinking of practicing regularly, I remind you that you're supposed to subscribe to the channel. In fact, even the chat is subscribers only, so if you want to attempt all the questions with me, it's a good idea to just press the subscribe, then join in the fun, and we can definitely take it up from there. So I mislabeled it. The 40th session was the last one. So So what's wrong? Am I live? Are you able to see me now? I think there was a teeny weeny bit of an issue. And I hope that we are back live. Nidhi, Tarun, Sonali, very warm welcome. Prasanna, Hirva, sir, 3.3 lakhs applications. Yes, Hirva, that seems to be a record. हाँ मतलब unexpected था यार. I did not expect it. I expected it to be around 2.7, but 3.3 is a significant jump, and I'm sure there are going to be some reasons behind it. We'd have to go ahead and discover those reasons, figure out those reasons, and then let's see. But then frankly, it does not really matter. My experience suggests that majority of the people, they do not even work or they do not even prepare. So frankly, 70% of the people are just making up the numbers and nothing else. Okay, so just corrected it that this is our session number 41 and not 40. And here is the first set of questions. Will it affect Hirva? Not really. Very unlikely. As I said, merely because more people are writing it does not really matter. The only thing that matters is how many of them are preparing, and as I said, majority does not really prepare. So I mean, imagine there have been years where a score of 0 has put you in there has been a particular year where people who scored 0 in a particular section, they ended up getting almost 50 percentile. So I mean, half of the people could not even get a 0. They actually got marks in negatives. They're not preparing, are they? I mean, if you go ahead and in all the 3 sections, if you get just 2 questions right each, and you do nothing else, you just solve 6 questions and get them right, you get just 18 marks and you are going to be pretty close to 70 percentile. So I think 70% of the people do not even prepare. Right, so therefore you shouldn't really worry much about it. Okay, so let's take a deep breath. Here are the directions for the first 3. Read the following passage and answer the questions that are given to you. And with that, let us start the passage. As usual, I will take you through paragraph by paragraph, and the moment you're done reading the paragraph, you're supposed to let me know so that I can take you over to the next slide. So here you go. Passage 1 on your screen. Okay, fantastic. Here you go with the next paragraph on your screen now. Oh, fabulous, Nidhi. You are reading really fast today. Okay, so here is the next paragraph. And this is the last one, mind you. We'd have questions afterwards. So are we done with it? Fabulous. So haven't taken you through a passage on philosophy quite a while, and I thought that let's go ahead and dive a bit into philosophy today. And I hope more of you are doing intensive reading, extensive reading in philosophy, and that should definitely put you in a good stead. So here is your first question based on the passage. Which of the following can we infer? Okay, so I have 3 answers so far. Everybody is picking up option D at the moment. Okay, so D it is, absolutely correct. We cannot really infer worsen. In B, we cannot infer irreversible. In C, the problem is with the use of the word solely. D, on the other hand, can be concluded. Okay, here is the next one. Question number 2. Tarun, it is possible, yaar. I put so many batches with so much of practice of late that I at times I'm not 100% sure whether I have taken a particular batch with this passage or not. So I wouldn't really know. No, with a lot of workshops happening for our students, quite a few sessions happening on the app, and then of course here, let's see. I'll just try to sit down and create some new ones for sure. Okay, so Hirva thinks it should be option A. What do the rest of us think? I thought that B is something that will probably bother a lot of people. But then B is a fact that is stated, it is not a conclusion. How about C? The trenches dug at Chernobyl's exclusion zone were meant to give advantage to Russian troops. Cannot be determined, right? We don't have data for it. D? Once again, not the C and D are not discussed. B is a fact and not a conclusion. Therefore, that does leave us with A, and you are absolutely correct in choosing this over the other three. Here is the next one. So which of the following is not true according to the passage? Ready? Okay, so we have 4 answers and everybody thinks it should be D. So D says it can be considered, we do not require as, it can be considered a trivial event, but the passage actually goes on to contradict it. Let me take you to the relevant part. Look at the last line. This part is far from irrelevant. So trivial is irrelevant, right? Not worthy of paying attention to. But the author is saying it is far from irrelevant, which means that it is definitely not trivial. So it can be considered trivial, is false according to the passage, and therefore D can be chosen as an answer. So that works. We have also chosen B. See, B is something that is mentioned in the passage. In the very first paragraph, I think you'd find the answer to that. So D it is. Okay, and with that, let me take you over to your next question, which is not based on this passage. Here is question number 4. Let me preface this. This is a parajumble. Okay, so I did not bother to give you directions on a separate page, but it's a parajumble. You know what we do in the parajumble. Here are the 4 sentences for you. Go ahead, give it a shot. Tell me what you think the sequence should be. And this is a previous year question. This is an actual previous year CAT question. So. So 4 positions. Which sentence goes where? A lot of idea-based clues. See, when I looked at this question, my major concern was where this goes. This is something that I had to spend some time on. It was easy to figure out that 2 goes first, and I'm sure a lot of you have already done that. Okay. Now, after that, you notice, let's look at 3 and 1. 3 says these pools of salty liquid can capture even meager amounts of oxygen from the Mars's atmosphere, creating a reservoir that microbes might metabolically utilize. And 1 says studies reveal that Martian brines today could hold higher concentration of oxygen than were present on Earth about 2.4 billion years ago when the first landmass emerged on Earth. So in which order? So both of them are talking about brines and oxygen in those brines. Which sentence should we put first? Which one should we put next? How do they relate to each other? So my take was that we should go in with 3.1, and the reason is 3 talks about this property of the brines where they can capture oxygen, even the meager amount. So 3 tells you brines have this ability to capture oxygen. First tells you that they happen to have a lot of oxygen. So if you put first before third, you don't need third. You read first and you already know that they can capture oxygen. So third will become superfluous as a result. So if you want to put these together, it has to be 3 plus 1. So now that leads to 2 options. So 3.1 or 3.1. So 4 can go here or here. That's what we need to resolve. So when I look at these pools of 3, these pools can come after 2. These pools can also come after 4. Okay, so that's not an issue. But the trouble is, if I put 2, 3, 1 and then 4, I am suddenly talking about a property of the brines and how they remain liquid. And it won't make any sense to go back to the property of brines after 3.1 now that we have moved over to talking about their ability to capture oxygen. On the other hand, if I put 4 immediately after 2, then 2 introduces to brines, 4 talks about a property of brines, and then 3 says that these brines can capture oxygen. 1 says they in fact happen to have a lot of oxygen. So it's still coherent. And therefore, I'll prefer this over 3.1.4. So my take will be 2.4.3.1. C says how to avoid mistakes while solving RCs. See, at the end of the day, every mistake is caused by a reason. That reason can be different from person to person, can vary from person to person. So what I typically do is I sit down and analyze. I sit down and evaluate why I made a particular mistake. And once I have that answer to the why, it is then that we move on and figure out the right answer, right solution, right strategy. So I'd suggest that you ask that why. Was it a momentary lapse of concentration? Was it because you do not understand the question? Was it because you could not maybe use the right technique? Maybe you lacked comprehension, maybe your reasoning needs to be worked on. So I don't know, there are so many different ways in which this can get affected. My bad here, I have lost power connection briefly, so you don't see me, but once the electricity comes back, you'd be able to see me. Until then, I am with you. So how about, why not 2.1? Prasanna, I basically talked about why first cannot be put after third. So number 1, 3 and 1 are talking about the same idea. And if you put 3 after 1, you've already established that brines have high oxygen concentration. Then why would you talk about the fact that brines can hold oxygen? That will become superfluous. So that's anyway ruled out. Okay. So here is the next question, which is once again going to be a parajumble. Our internal survey goes on to suggest that RC and parajumble are 2 things that most of us are generally worried or bothered about. So let's go ahead and dive into the next question. Why don't you have a look at this and tell me what the answer should be? Hirva, if you go back by a minute, I have explained it. So once the session gets over, you can move back, replay that part, and then learn something more. Okay, so Sanjay has an interesting take on this. What else? So one of the things that I think we can very easily focus on is this: at this time. So you notice the only other sentence that mentions a time is sentence 1, and that basically tells you that 1 and 4 should come together. Then look at second. It was a utopian project. So utopian, which project is being called a utopian project? The only sentence where you have a project, where you have something that can be termed as a project, and that too utopian, is sentence 3. Look at 3. The metric system was created with the intention of liberating the common man and woman from the confusing and inconsistent weights and measures of the old regime. This is the only thing that can be justified as a utopian project, and therefore you need to have 3 plus 2. So now the question shifts to which one should come first, 1432 or 3214? So you notice sentence number 1. It is talking about the quest to define units of measurement using constants of nature. This is a more general idea. This can act as a topic sentence for this paragraph, and therefore it is better to put 1 before you talk about 3. And therefore 1432 is going to be your best combination, which I think majority of us have also gone on to figure out. Another reason some of us have put forth towards the end, another reason is I've talked about at this time, but then you notice we are talking about liberty, equality, fraternity was embraced not just by revolutionaries but by scientists as well. So 3 and 2 is the job of, is the role of a scientist. So it's better to narrow it down to scientists before you go ahead and introduce 3 and 2. Yet another reason for 4 to come before them. Okay, so that's your question number 5, and with that let's dive into our next passage, passage number 2. Once again, paragraph by paragraph. Keep letting me know once you are done with a particular paragraph. Here you go. So another topic that I have not touched upon in quite a while, economics. Oh, I think we also have another session at 1. So let's just go through this passage a little faster. Let's just buckle up, focus, and see how fast we can do it. Next. Man, a lot of time spent in front of screens is making my eyes dry and itchy. Done? Where did my YouTube go? Okay. So, should I take you over to the next one? Here you go. Pulkit, that's okay. Yaar. Easy and difficult are always subjective. But as we go closer to the exam, I need to increase the difficulty level somewhat. In fact, I remember a month ago, people were complaining, yaar, asan passage de raho yaar, thoda to. But then, as the exam approaches, we need to prepare with something which is more challenging. Huh? But then, as I said, at the end of the day, it is subjective. These are the kind of passages that we can expect. This is the kind of level that we expect to appear in the exams anyway. In fact, some of the passages can also be tougher. Ready for the questions? Here you go. Oh, sorry, the last paragraph. My bad, I forgot. Last paragraph and then the questions. Now, even this is not the last. We have one more slide to go and then we'll move over. Right, so here is the last slide for you. Done? Ready? Okay, so question. So which of the following is going to be the best title for this passage from among the four that are given here? What do you say? Okay, so KKF was quick with his answer. Abhi yaar, C can definitely be ruled out. Man, the passage is passage positive about neoliberalism. So when you say only path to prosperity, forget only, it is not even saying that it is a definitive path to prosperity. I think C can be ruled out. Okay, Tarun, A or B? Let me help you. Have we talked about the disappointment that we've had with neoliberalism? So when you say a century of disappointment, you need to offer multiple instances of disappointment, something that I don't see in the passage. So it's B or D? I mean, title questions are sort of main idea questions, right? So now D talks about only the gentleman whose book has been discussed. Remember Slobodian, Quinn Slobodian, right? So option D is Quinn's view, in which he goes ahead and talks about neoliberalism. So it is only part of the main idea. If we choose D, we are not representing the first half of the passage. And that is why the best answer choice is going to be option B. So notice the passage defines neoliberalism for us. It gives us the characteristics of neoliberalism. It talks about the advantages of neoliberalism according to its proponents, but then it also introduces the viewpoint of the critics. Then the passage shares us the view of Quinn Slobodian, whose point of view about neoliberalism differs considerably from the conventional views. So in a way we can say that the passage is about reappraising neoliberalism. That comes closest to the theme, right? So D is narrow, C is contradictory, A is irrelevant. It is bringing in information that is not even mentioned in the passage, and therefore B is going to be our best answer choice. Here is your next question. Give it a shot. What was the major fear of neoliberals according to Quinn Slobodian? Let's see if you can refer to the right part of the passage. If you can, I believe you'd find this question easy. Okay, so let's go ahead and have a look at it. Sufficient amount of time to think over this. So yes, the correct answer is absolutely right. It is indeed option A. You've gotten this spot on. So this was one of your specific detail questions. Here is the next one. So how is Quinn's view on neoliberalism different from the conventional view? You know which part of the passage to go back to, right? Okay. B. What else? Divya, arey YouTube Baba, you can always go back to the passage. No. Use the seeker under your video to do that. So let's see. So I'll tell you the relevant extract, the paragraph which starts talking about Quinn Slobodian. Let me take you back to that part of the passage. चलो दिव्या की बात मान लेते हैं हम और चलते हैं. Here, so it says that he is taking another approach. In his book Globalist, The End of Empire and the Birth of Neoliberalism, he defines neoliberalism less as a project of economics and more of law, statecraft and institution building. So here, when you look at law, statecraft, institution building, all of these things allude to politics. And that is why we should go ahead and choose C as our answer. When you look at A and when you look at D, both of these cannot be determined on the basis of the passage. You won't have, let me take you back to the question as well. So when you look at A and D, we don't have enough information for this. So these can definitely be eliminated. Let's have a look at B. Option B has it in reverse. Neoliberalism saw democracy as a threat to capitalism. So it's not about preserving, it's about destroying. So B contradicts and therefore can be ruled out. So the best answer choice is option C. Okay, so it's not that conventional view ignored the fallout. Remember the first couple of paragraphs, in fact, particularly second paragraph, which talks about a lot of drawbacks, increasing inequality and all those things. So conventional view did not ignore, but the conventional view still looked at it as an economic challenge. Quinn saw that it is more of a law, statecraft, etc. challenge, which is represented best by political one. And here is your next question. Each of the following is a characteristic of neoliberalism except which one? So shoot, tell me. So I see the answers. Can I see the answers? Okay, so a lot of C's. So just go back to the first paragraph, and in fact, let's go back to the first paragraph. We can always go back, right? So what all do we have here? The collapse. This is not the first, is So second paragraph. Free trade, globalization, laissez-faire, minimum intervention of the government. That's what laissez-faire anyway means. So let's look at the characteristics as a result. So this is mentioned, this is mentioned, this is mentioned. D is the view of Quinn. Quinn says that neoliberals do that. It is not stated as a fact, unlike A, B and C. And that is why when it comes to accept, the best answer will be option D. So it's not that D is not mentioned, but D is mentioned as a view of Quinn, which the author may or may not endorse. So if you compare it to A, B and C, D should be the one that is getting left out. And with that, let me ask you another question that I haven't asked you in quite a while. Here it is. What is the tone of the author in this passage? What do you say? Giving you hints, making your life easier. So, now in this particular passage, the author has talked about neoliberalism. What do you think? He's in favor of neoliberalism or not? Has he just explained or described it? Is he not talking about the criticism from the second paragraph onwards? So expository and narrative can be ruled out. Look at the author's language. Is he coming across as somebody who is quarrelsome? Somebody who is fighting or arguing about a particular topic in a very unreasonable manner? No, it's a well-written passage. So even B gets ruled out, and therefore the best option that we are left with is going to be option C. Go back, look at the word choice of the author, and hopefully that will tell you. And even otherwise, my basic way of approaching it is, I look at, okay, what was the topic? The author talked about neoliberalism, where he said, okay, proponents claim this, but then it has shortcomings. And then three odd, four odd paragraphs are devoted to what Quinn said. So the author's tone, attitude towards neoliberalism is positive, neutral, or negative. So on the basis of this passage, it is easy to say that it is negative. And because it is negative, we can rule out A and D, because A and D are both neutral. So we were left with B and C. Now between belligerent and critical, it was easier to choose because the author has not shown his pugnacity. He's not shown that he is unreasonably fighting or arguing. So could eliminate and arrive at C. So that's about our passages, and here is a thought that I want to leave you with. A surplus of effort could overcome a deficit of confidence. So even if you're not confident, keep putting in effort. In fact, increase your efforts, and I'm sure you'd have great results. If you liked working with me, don't forget to like this video as well. And for more practice, you can enroll in our test series, which gives you plenty of practice. We also, in fact, if you need more help, you can consider joining our programs to make it easy. Our program has produced great results, and you can have a 3-day free trial, and you can sit for the scholarship test to land yourself a really sweet deal. Okay. Additionally, we are not all CAT focused. We are also starting a crash course for NMAT. So you know, NMAT, particularly when I look at it from the language perspective, asks you grammar, vocab, and CR. So we have dedicated sessions on those, and it'll help you. It'll act as a refresher course, so you can consider it. So that's it from me today. If you need to reach out to us, you can use any of these platforms, and you'd find that we are just a message away. So that's it for today. Until I see you next, stay safe, stay focused, stay in touch. Take care and have a great day ahead.